Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and possibly good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Dr. Scott Stoll here, co-founder of Plantrician Project, for an Instagram Live today. And I just want to welcome you all as you're joining. So happy to have you, and we always appreciate the opportunity to connect with you as a Plantrician Project. Our vision has always been from the beginning to provide support, encouragement, inspiration, empowerment, education, resources for the healthcare community and providers that are reaching out with a heart of compassion to help those in desperate need. And today we're going to have Matt and Alona. Hi, everyone. Dr. Matt Lederman and Dr. Alona Pulde on with us today to have a conversation about communication in healthcare. A little bit of a twist. We're usually talking about nutrition, but today we're going to talk about communication because it's essential in helping people to make those lifestyle changes. And I just am going to, check here. So we're just waiting for them. As I was thinking about today and the idea of communication and compassion in healthcare, and really empathy-driven communication, I remember, my beginning in all of this started with a heart of compassion for a patient, recognizing that the past medical history I was looking at was eroding the very quality of her life. I wasn't just managing disease processes and trying to solve problems, but I was in reality, for the first time, seeing that the diseases that I had learned in medical school and residency, procedures, imaging, reading, all of these things were managing diseases, but I was not doing anything to truly restore the quality of life of my patients. And at that time, I didn't recognize the power of nutrition and lifestyle to do that. And that sent me on my own personal learning journey. And it led me to this place where today, we are the Plantrician Project, creating resources and opportunity for you to learn and begin integrating these things into your practices as well. So I'll just give a little bit of history while we're waiting for Matt and Alona to join us. Here they are. Hey, good to see you. Welcome, Matt. Hi, Alona. Good to see you. So nice to see your smiling faces today. And I just want to take a second to introduce you to the audience. These are my friends, Doctors Matt and Alona. They are, if you've seen Forks Over Knives, you've seen Matt and Alona. If you've read anything from Forks Over Knives or New York Times best-selling books, you have run across Matt and Alona. They are groundbreaking physicians in the area of lifestyle medicine, New York Times bestsellers, founding members, board members of ACLM, and they really have been on the forefront of this movement for their entire careers. And so, it's special to have you guys here today. And I was just sharing with the audience before you arrived that we're going to talk about something a little different than food and lifestyle, but it is perhaps essential to the social integration and behavior change that occurs when we recognize the science of lifestyle and nutrition, and then we have that trend in a culture that doesn't support them. That communication window is absolutely critical. And so it's great to have you, Matt, Alona. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I just want to mention at the outset, too, that your book, Wellness to Wonderful, is fantastic. It was just released, was it 2 weeks ago, or is that right?
Yeah, like week and a half ago, 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, it is. And as I had written in my endorsement, and I sincerely mean this, when we're talking about whole person health, it really is the best book on the market for whole person health. And I just want to appreciate you for doing that and taking decades of your experience and research and putting it into such a valuable resource in this book.
Wow, that's really meaningful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're on that. Nutrition is important. Nutrition is the foundation of healing. Some other other really valuable ways to impact our health and well-being, and that's what we wanted to expand. We wanted to address some of the things that nutrition alone sometimes wasn't able to fully heal, as well as focus on from just healing disease or getting back to your baseline, to instead really raising that benchmark to life as well.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, there was a little glitch there, but I hear you now.
Okay. We might
Yeah,
have
but
issues.
yeah, Matt, why don't you say that again? I think we caught most of it, but I want to, that's really an important lead into our conversation.
Yes, so one of the nutrition is at the foundation of healing. We really value that. That's at the core. But there's some things that either nutrition is able to fully heal, or wanting to raise the sort of the bar from just reversing disease or getting back to your baseline to actually getting up all the way to this state that we call life is wonderful, where joy, satisfaction, inner peace are achieved, and we can address all sorts of health issues that might not fully on just the diet alone.
Yeah, and that's a whole new evolution in healthcare, isn't it? I mean, it's, you know, we all have moved out of the healthcare of disease management into lifestyle medicine, which is looking at preventing, suspending, and reversing disease, but taking somebody to the next step of, you know, life is wonderful and optimized life is, that's a whole new evolution, and it requires some key communication. And, you know, as I was reflecting on our conversation today, you know, just remembering how, you know, we always use statistics about lack of nutritional education, and also this tremendous deficit of empathy, compassion-based communication, motivational conversations in healthcare as well. And to take somebody just to the first step of reversing disease requires a significant degree of improvement in our communication skills, but that next step as well is really critical. So why don't you just share with us some of that journey that you've walked on to learn this communication style, and what you learned, and how you've began to apply that inside of your practices.
Okay. Yes. So what we found, like, for example, I personally dealt with a physical issue around chronic back pain, and it was this chronic pain that was not responding despite a perfectly, from my perspective at least, perfectly clean diet. There was this journey of learning around how a lot of chronic pain is central nervous system sort of mediated neural pathway pain, and then what influences neural pathway pain and how to reprocess that. And that's where we sort of got exposed to this connection piece, and it included doing things that really helped the shift your physiological state from a state of threat to a state of safety. And I was living in a high alert state. I was highly functional type A, but at the same time there was cost to that. You know, one of the people I work with said, I worked like there was a bomb under my desk about to go off. You know, like we were doing so much and really productive, but there was a cost to that. And ultimately, there was some issue around how that affected me. So one of the tools, I'll just give you that, that's super impactful for me was nonviolent communication. And I used that to not only figure out how to connect to my own feelings and needs in a way that did create a sense of safety in my physiology, but also communicate to other people that enhanced connection. And connection is one of the ways we as human beings are designed to feel safe. We're a social species, but a lot of times we do two things. We either suppress our authenticity to stay in attachment and connection, right? Or we share ourselves, you know, honestly, but there's a huge impact on people around us and causes a lot of conflict. And those are sort of our choices that we give ourselves. Non-violent, do we share honestly and take the fallout, or do we suppress our truth and we call artificial harmony? That all has a cost on our physiology, both of which, disconnection or to ourselves or to other people, we learned triggers the same inflammatory pathways as an unhealthy diet. It causes the same pro-inflammatory cytokines to be released. It causes the same adrenaline and cortisol to flow through our system. It causes the same shift in blood flows that are not health promoting, supporting digestion and all the visceral organs. And through that process, nonviolent communication allowed me to have this third way. How do I maintain my authenticity and connect to other people? And then we decided to say, wow, this feels great for me. My back pain actually wound up going away. My nervous system, my with Alona improved. My connection with my children improved. And I said, this is fantastic. And then I looked at data and said, holy cow, the data showing that physician, if they're more empathic, their patients, 20,000 diabetics had 41% lower medical complications. Their patients had 29% better hemoglobin A1Cs and 25% better LDL cholesterols. They interpreted pain signals, stimuli, as less painful than people who had low empathy physicians. Same stimulus. I said, wow, there's something going on between how the physician treats the patient and the patient's physical health. So this is sort of a journey for us. But as we got more and more information, both experientially and in the data, we said we have to get this out there. And now it's a question of getting people to believe it. Similarly to how it was 50 years ago when we tried to convince people that diet affected chronic disease. And they're like, what are you talking about? Right? So that's the next. We think that's another solution. And we're so glad, Scott, that you see it and you can see so ahead of where, and then help us get there.
And I think there's that piece of, disease reversal, disease prevention, and what communication can contribute to medicine. And then there's the personal journey of what it can contribute to our personal state, because so many of us right now are living in what we call survival mode, burning the candle at both ends, get to the end of the day, doing. And we don't even process. We're on autopilot most of the time. And so to be able to take a breath and to get back to nonviolent communication, big on a need-based consciousness. What are my needs? What am I needing at the moment? And what are the behaviors that I can do to support that? And all of a sudden, life becomes wonderful because we've gone from a contracted state to an expansive one. And that really feels amazing and promotes healing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It reminds me of our early journey in plant-based nutrition, where as physicians, we start changing our diet and we experience this rebounding of health, and we have a gift to share with our patients. And in the same way, if we as physicians can begin learning to communicate differently and understand empathy, not only do our patients' lives improve, but our lives improve dramatically. And with the statistics on physician burnout today, and as you were saying, Alona, this idea of doing, that we've become human doings today, right? We identify as human doings rather than human beings. And, it's really essential that this is woven into education, but it's not a part of traditional education, is it?
No, it's not. And we just hope that people are open and willing to explore this new information and really give it a try, because it's going to make a huge impact.
Yeah, and I think, around behavior change too, there's a lot of interesting research. BJ Fogg has done such a great job out of Stanford and others talking about behavior change, where it's, motivation and resources, but there's so much more to long-term sustainable behavior change than just motivation and resources. And this idea of nonviolent, empathy-driven communication inside of that relationship between a patient and a physician, or a clinician and a physician, is like the jet fuel or the brakes on behavior change, right? Can you maybe just share some of your the research that you've discovered and uncovered in your journey?
I think even before that, though, you mentioned motivation, and a lot of times when we think of motivation, we're still attached to an external motivation, what other people are telling us, what we hear from others versus an internal motivation, right? And that's where when we can use nonviolent communication, when we can have an empathic presence for our patients or even for ourselves, tapping into that internal motivation. I want to make for my health. I want to make changes for my well-being, not but told me to. You know, it's funny. It comes down to like we hear so many times, but I don't like kale and I don't like broccoli. That's what they're telling me to eat. You know, and it's like there's a whole world of vegetables out there. Connect, say, okay, I don't like broccoli. I'm not going to eat kale, but I will eat cauliflower and I will eat Brussels sprouts and I'll eat chard. You know, so there really is like the sustainability lives in that transition, that external motivation to internal motivation.
Right, because so many people, Scott, are asking us as we do interviews, what is the 3 things that'll, if you do these, your life will be wonderful. Silver bullet. And it's that thinking that actually is derailing us versus learning how to go inside and say, what needs are being met right now and what needs are not met right now, and what actions can I, once I'm aware of that, which my feelings are what indicate needs being met or not met. So if I'm feeling unpleasant feelings, all they are is a messenger, hey, you got some needs that are not met. And if you have pleasant feelings, say, oh, great, needs that are being met. Once you are clear on that, you learn how to discern that, then you can take action to make requests of yourself to get your needs better met. And we find that that is super helpful, particularly around mental health, right? So a lot of time we try to make the messenger go away with pills and procedures. And we're all for using pills and procedures to help, particularly early on or a transition. But if we're going to be on these for the next 30, 40, 50 years, that's a big ask. So is there other ways, right, that are either as effective or more effective and less costly? That's what we're always trying to do. So when I feel anxious, instead of trying to make the anxiety go away, which is the messenger, I go and say, what need of mine isn't being, and I go and check that out, right? If I'm feeling, instead of trying to make my depression go away, I go and say, oh, it's letting me know that there's some needs, really important needs of mine that aren't being met. It needs, for example, for meaning and purpose, or for peace, right? Inner peace, or safety and security. And then I can say, okay, what actions can I take? Doing that is not just a nice to have, fluffy, oh, I'm so glad you feel better. It changes your physical health. That's what we're trying to get across, that it changes your physical health. When you are in a state of threat, you release pro-inflammatory cytokines that increase insulin resistance. So getting out of that state of threat, for example, supports your physical health on top of, hey, it really feels wonderful.
Yeah, I just want to go back just for a minute to those statistics you mentioned earlier, and maybe you can just review those and some others, because those are really profound outcomes that are better than medications. And we all know that even medication compliance is like 50%. So, you know, the actual outcomes of some of these medications in real life are much less than the studies. So can you just maybe go through a few of those studies again? Because I just want people here, and we have people joining, and you know, they're just as maybe shocking as some of the studies on plant-based nutrition, disease prevention, reversal.
Yes, so one study was over 20,900 diabetics, and those having a high empathy doctor, right? They measured the empathy compared to a low empathy doctor. The ones who had a high empathy doctor had 41% lower odds of acute metabolic complications. So the doctor, the level of empathy from the doctor, aka the connection to the doctor, empathy is essentially being able to be present to what's going on with the patient. And the patient has a sense of safety and care. It's going to lead to a better physical outcome with diabetics. It also, there was a study, it was about 1,000 diabetics, and that was LDL cholesterol, about 25% lower, and A1C, hemoglobin A1C was 29% lower compared to low empathy doctor patients. In other words, the way the doctor connected to patients affected the patients health. So the doctor's ability to connect to the patients is what affected the physical health of the patients. There's another study that looked at pain, and when you touched a patient with a painful stimulus, it was interpreted as more painful when they had lower trust relationships with their doctors compared to the same stimulus in patients who had high trust. It also changed what the brain, the fMRI of the brain, the pain centers lit up more when they had low trust relationships with their doctors, when they rated it as low trust. So in other words, there's a connection between two people that affect physical changes in the patient. There was another one on microbiome, people who suppress. This was a small study, and we need to do more data, right? This is not perfect. But a small study, there was a couple of women who suppress their emotion, right? They have a gut microbiome. They also showed different types of bacteria increased or decreased based on the how much they suppressed emotion and how they navigated emotions. Another one looked at colorectal cancer, right? And the incidence. Again, this was this meta-analysis. We need more data, right? But basically, there were two. There was egoism and anger that affected colorectal cancer risk. So I'm not saying these are perfect studies, but they're all pointing to something that not only has great data, that has some data, but also we know intuitively makes sense and feels so much better. So it's almost like when people ask me for data, well, is broccoli healthy? I need the data. But you don't have data that burgers are healthy and you're eating those. So I'm like, sometimes we want data, sometimes we don't. And to me, it's like, it makes sense to eat vegetables. And yes, now we're getting tons, right? There's tons of on it. Similarly here, I think there's going to be more and more data. We're just a little early on the curve here.
Yeah, and there's no harm being early on the curve, as we know, right? It's a little more friction out there on the front, but it's
right.
It's good to have leaders like you all on the front edge because you help us so much. We have a lot of people watching, and this will go up, after this, and thousands of people will see it. And it's, as a clinician, it's a little overwhelming to come out of the traditional training that we all had. Where it's disease care model and you're churning through patients. And we've been taught by our system to really be hopeless because there's no hope in healthcare right now. And so what are some places that people can start this journey of learning to communicate with empathy and perhaps, starting an early learning journey with nonviolent communication?
Yes. So nonviolent communication is going to change people's lives even if they do it just a little bit or they really dive in. It took me, I'm one of the few medical doctors I know that are certified in the United States in nonviolent. It took me 4 years and was harder than training in medical school. I mean, I spent so much more time trying to figure out. It turns out but I was able to do it. I grew up thinking, hey, maybe I had 3 feelings when I started: good, bad, right? And good and bad feelings. That's basically how I went through the world, right? So now my life is so much richer. And to me, the way we offer classes on this. There's, in our book, we talk a fair bit about this. There's other books, there's courses there. And if people, we have a support group around nonviolent communication and connection. In addition to, I lead that, leads one on healthy weight, healthy body. So we're really trying to make it accessible to people. And there's connection resources on our website, WeHeal.health. And then if people, want other support, we can always direct them. And there's cmvc.org is the main organization. So lots of opportunities.
Just as a note, it's a bi-directional thing, right? So patients get the benefit, but doctors and practitioners benefit too. Some of our burnout is that we're not making an impact on our patients. And so that connection to self, that ability to show up differently in relationship and have these benefits as a result really positively impact practitioners as well. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's really important. The job, if you want to have more meaning and purpose at work, try connection. Right, just connecting to the people at work, you're going to go home and feel, oh, wow, that was satisfying. And
Yeah.
I want, and even just learning these skills, if just not only does it make, I do it for me, right? I obviously other people, but I feel better when I focus on connection. And also, there was someone dear to me in my family that was attacked by a patient in mental health, and my guess, if that patient got more empathy, right? I'm just giving you an example of if we were really trained, because he was upset that he wanted to go home, right? He wanted to get out of there, and they said, "Hey, we can't help you." But if they could connect to pain and say, "Oh, you're so frustrated, imagine, and you want to get out of here, and you don't have any choice, and you don't have any freedom, and you're just stuck right now, and I'm so angry right now," could that have helped just give him the care that he needs? And that's what they found. The most successful mental health practitioners were those who were most effective at providing empathy. It wasn't the training or the type of psychotherapy or intervention. I just want to show the power.
Yeah. And I a lot of the times this comes up, we don't have time. We only have, it's a short amount of time. And what's funny and ironic is that it actually takes less time or equal time to come and show up in this way than having to manage patients again and again and again because they're not getting better. So you're having repeat conversations over things that aren't working versus having one or two around something that will work. And so in the long run, actually is less effort.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We've been so trained by healthcare to just measure our lives in minutes. And so, it's like 10-minute appointments, get your note done, and then there's calls and questions. And then you walk into a frustrated patient who hasn't felt heard or seen. And it takes longer to navigate that difficulty. And one of the things that I saw early in my practice as I started using nutrition and lifestyle is that I would walk in the room with a different attitude because I felt like I had something hopeful to say and a solution that could change their life. And it just brought a natural degree of empathy, compassion, and hope into the conversation that immediately shifted everything in my patients' lives, in my life, my staff, my office, everything changed.
Yeah.
And so, for people that are watching, like today, if they want to start learning, if they want to start making some changes and evolving as not only a healthcare practitioner, but a person, I know you mentioned your website and some resources. I just want you to mention those again and maybe help people to discover the work that you're doing, because I believe strongly that what you're doing is critically important.
Yeah, and the work, sometimes when we talk about changing to a plant-based diet, right, or learning about plant-based diets, there is a little bit more work at first, but it gets easier over time. That's a sign that we're on the right track. It shouldn't get harder over time. It should get harder over time. That's the same way with this. It's a little bit of work up front, but also the joy is in the work, right? Sometimes, how can I do, I want to, I just want it to be easy and I don't want to have to, put much effort into it. But it's in that effort, it's in the effort of tending to our 9 pillars of health where the joy comes out of. It's similar, I talk about, if you want to avoid pain and the effort of raising children, adopt an 18-year-old and then send them off to college, right? But that's where all the joy and the wonder of that effort, right? It's similar, right? And that to me is the key behind this, is like get in there, and then the places that you can, you want to show places.
Roadmap, one of the reasons that we wrote Wellness to Wonderful was to really provide a roadmap around 9 pillars with some practical ideas how to really start implementing that. So that's Wellness to Wonderful. And our virtual healthcare platform is WeHeal .health. And find out what we do and the classes that we offer and the support that is offered, as well as numerous articles discussing connection and the value of connection, the other 9 pillars as well.
And we're also, if people join, we started the Wellness to Wonderful from social media, the Instagram. You can tell we're not, I think our head here that I'm looking at. So we're not very familiar with social media, but we're trying to go on and do like a tip, you know, a 1 minute tip each day or something to get us on the path towards wonderful. It's not about being there all the time. It's about tending to and caring about you, the pill. They're going to be out of balance. It's a flow. You know, some days I'm on the path, some days I'm far off, but I know how to get back on. And that's really the.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sorry, I saw the question. Book cover, almost wonderful.
Yeah, congratulations on your book. You know, we all know that when you write a book, it's like having another child. So congratulations on the delivery. We're excited for you.
Yeah, yes. And thank you so much, Scott, for just your support and your natural resonance with connection and care. I mean, I always think it was, you told me the story, I don't know if you want to share it here, what your partner, some of your ex-partners or in the past might have said about why your patients heal. And I thought that was so telling, you know, that, you know, remember what it was? Were your patients,
Yes.
okay, you want to tell her?
Yeah, I had partners that would often tell me it's, you know, it's Dr. Stoll's placebo effect. They go see Dr. Stoll and they just get better.
Right, because you're so nice to them. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, it's a novel idea in medicine, right?
Right. I love that though. It's just like, it just comes like, it's almost like, just like, it sounds like you intuitively, you know, because you were on early in the curve around plant-based diets, it just made sense. And then you jump on and you're like, this feels right. So it sounds like that part of that evolution, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we're all evolving, and that's why I love this journey.
Yes.
And I love that we're on the journey together, Matt and Alona. This is beautiful. And I am so glad that we have reconnected on this topic. And I want to tell you, it's just the beginning. I want to walk this journey with you because I believe that this is like an essential element of healing healthcare and redefining healthcare in the future. It's a whole person healthcare, as you say. And so I'm excited to work together with you and to like use our platform and opportunities to bring this forward and begin transforming, you know, clinicians' lives, and through their own personal transformation, changing that interaction in the exam room, and you know, helping to magnify the opportunity that we already see with lifestyle medicine and plant-based nutrition.
Yeah, and that's something I love, changing physicians' lives. There's so many physicians we talk to now that are happy or almost feeling hopeless or even helpless, and they just got into medicine. They care about people, want to help people heal. And to me, whether you spend 3 minutes on connection or you have the luxury of a half an hour on connection, even 3 minutes makes a huge difference, not only for you, but for your patients. So it's doable, it's possible, and it can be brought in at any time, in any place.
Yeah, I love that. It is those simple, small steps that lead to transformational change. And I've always told people it's just about the next bite. You know, we take 100 bites a day. What's your next bite?
Right.
And I love this. It's 3 minutes, you know, to start. And 3 minutes a day focusing on yourself changes that empathy that can flow out of you.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, thank you for joining me today, Matt and Alona. It is so good to see you. I am so thankful that you have stepped out and are on the front edge of this curve. And I really appreciate your book and want to encourage all of you that are watching, if you haven't ordered it, go order a copy of their book. Connect with them on WeHeal.health and watch for all the work that we're going to do together, because I believe this is an essential part of the lifestyle medicine message. So thanks for being here, Matt. Thank you, Alona. And thanks to all of you for joining us today.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Again, plantricianproject.org, all the resources you need. PBNHC in the fall, join us. And Plantrician University, if you have a medical school student or a faculty member, send them there. It's free resources. Matt and Alona are doing a program, thank you for that, for Plantrician University, so we can begin inserting this information into the early education process of healthcare professional students all over the world. So I want to just appreciate you for that too. That's going to be an amazing opportunity for people to get this at the beginning of their education.
Oh, we're excited too. Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.